I went in thinking I wanted to do one thing,
Mm.
and left having sort of started the process of starting a company.
Hey guys, welcome to Meet the Owner. I'm so excited to introduce this next interview. It's with Nick Doman. He's the co-founder of Ocean Bottle. Nick made the Forbes 30 under 30 list just this year, and his organization Ocean Bottle won the London Business Awards in the environment category. In this interview, we go on and talk about the challenges and the successes that they've had in their business. Ocean Bottle is making a great impact in our world. I hope you enjoy this interview. So welcome, Nick.
Hi, thanks very much for having me.
Yes, Nick. So I'm really excited about this interview. Been waiting for it for quite a little while. So if we just start, Nick, with you telling us a bit about your background, so how you were brought up and that kind of thing.
Yeah, so I was brought up I grew up in South London. My mum was Canadian, my dad is Australian. So super international family. Yeah, never felt sort of, we were sort of always on the move. Never really felt like we were always in London, or that I was really English, even though I was brought up and raised in England. But yeah, so just grew up always by the sea, always sort of running around the UK, traveling, just seeing incredibly beautiful environmental sites. And yeah, it was just sort of a bit of a hectic youth. It was sort of super fun. For instance, my mum's, all her family went to camp in Canada, like summer camp. Yeah. So I did that. I was unbelievably fortunate enough to do that for 4 years of my life in the summer. And it was like being a kid. I was like 14, acting like a sort of 9-year-old running around the woods. And it was, incredible time. And yeah, incredibly sort of having adventures all the time.
Amazing. So, like, what were your parents entrepreneurs as well? Then, growing up, or
not at all? So my my dad set up a party business when he was at university in Australia, but no, Dad's very corporate. Well, he was a doctor. Then he became sort of very suit and tie. Incredibly suit and tie, and was actually very against me starting a company this early. And yeah, my mum was also similar sort of work life.
Okay.
And sorry.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, what was his reasoning for not wanting you to start a company this early?
Yeah, so he really believed that you needed to train, like you needed to learn to do things before you actually did it, which I can completely see. It sort of makes so much sense. But on the other hand, having been on the other side now, I think actually learning to do things like best practice, or learning how to do things in a large organization slows you down. And I think it means the longer you do it, the harder it is to adapt to failing fast and doing things just because they feel right. Everything needs to have some sort of order to it. Like you need to write a deck before you even talk about something. And I mean, Will and I at the beginning were just sort of making decisions on the fly non-stop. And it meant that we could operate incredibly quickly. And we didn't know that we would be wrong until proven wrong. So it means that if no one's done it before, and people would be like, well, you can't do it. And we were so naive. Just the naivety of not having done it before actually served us very well, I think. That makes sense. And Dad basically thought that I would need to do at least sort of 5-10 years of working in a corporate before doing it. And only when we got our first round of investment did he say, this is too good of an opportunity to pass up. You should definitely, this is definitely the right decision. which was nice to hear him say, to be honest.
That's amazing, because parents is always a huge factor, isn't it? They're always like, my dad still calls me every now and again, goes, have you got a job yet? And I'm like, Dad, I'm not getting a job.
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay. So did you ever have any just normal traditional jobs then, or did you go straight into business?
Yeah, I actually worked at a startup investment company, like a venture capital company, for 7 months before, which I was working weekends and evenings with Will, because Will was full time. Sort of makes me feel guilty every time I talk about this, because he did. His dad's an entrepreneur, so I guess he didn't have that conflict, and he just jumped in straight into the deep end full time. And I was working weekends and evenings with him, but really it doesn't really compare. However hard I think that I was helping or working, it just doesn't compare to doing it full time. So yeah, only 7 months of I guess a traditional job.
Wow. So is that the only job you've ever had, or have you had other jobs?
Oh no, I've laid dance floors, worked at a pub for 9 months. Yeah, barman, waiter, that sort of thing. I've done plenty of things that, but not like suit and tie, sitting in an office sort of thing. Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay. So you, I believe you went to university in London. What did you study at university?
Yeah, I actually did. I studied history at Edinburgh
Okay.
University. Was my and then I went to London Business School, where I met Will, to do a
Okay.
master's. Yeah, so we
Okay.
studied management.
Okay. So history to business. How did that happen?
I mean, it's the same. To be honest, it's the same story. I think my dad's heard the story a million times, and he's well aware of it and finds it. I'm making him out to be a Grinch. He's actually very funny, very kind, loving man. But I always did maths, physics, and economics were always my big subjects at school. And I applied for economics my first year applications, and then just decided there was so much pressure on me to do it that I wasn't actually enjoying the process of applying for it, and decided instead to do my worst subject of all time, which was history, and but loved every minute of it. Like, it's my favorite subject.
Okay.
And just had the most incredible time learning about it, but sort of promised myself that I would do something quantitative after, and spend a total of 5 years in education instead of the normal 3, to try to basically train those skills that I'm best at, so I have the best possible opportunity to do what I can do it to the fullest of my ability, I guess. But yeah.
Okay. So what were you like in school? Would you say you were quite, I want to use the word intelligent, but a lot of people do obviously have different connotations of that word. But did you have loads good grades and that kind of thing in school?
I think decent grades. I don't think I was particularly academic. It wasn't something that I wasn't interested in getting the best grades, I guess. I was more interested in sort of hanging out with my mates, playing sport, just just trying my best to do as little as I could, to do as well as I could, if that made sense.
Yeah. Oh,
That was
yeah,
the story of school, was just trying to do the minimum I could to get where I wanted to get, which was I always knew I wanted to go to university, so that was the goal, but the minimum I could do, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. And what was your business degree like when you did your masters in London?
Yeah. That was London Business School is the most incredible school. They basically tell you there's like a very strict selection criteria to get in, and they're super strict on those. But once you're in, they're like, I think the first meeting they were like, your grades don't matter. We don't publish your grades. We tell you not to give your grades to employers. That's not what this is about. This is about learning the curriculum, and the exams will make sure that you know the curriculum and you won't be able to pass without knowing it. But this is more about running around, meeting with business leaders, entrepreneurs, in different industries, just getting a feel for every industry that you might want to go into. And yeah, I mean, it just invaluable. It was well, I met Will there, my co-founder, and yeah, and I went in thinking I wanted to do one thing, and left having sort of started the process of starting a company and doing a completely different job that I would never have really considered I would want to do, at least so early in my career. And yeah, it's I always sing its praises. It's not for everyone. I think I was just I studied history, like I said. I was just a very confused person, like 99% of people are leaving university. And I think having that extra year of study to sort of focus my brain was invaluable. Mainly because I didn't actually get a job leaving Edinburgh.
Okay, because what was it like? Because you said it was quite difficult to get. Because I've heard of London Business School, and I do know it's quite a prestigious school. So how did you manage that process of getting in? What do you think kind of got you in or gave you the edge to get in?
Yeah, I think that made me sound a little bit more smug than it should have.
No.
There are very few British people who go, and that means it makes it incredibly easy for British people to get in. There's not necessarily a quota system, but it's they're underrepresented in their home market. So I think they're
okay.
And there's a test and there's grade requirements, but it's I think I made it sound a little bit more intense than maybe it was, especially.
No. I think it's because from what I've heard anyway, not even from what you said. From what I've heard, it seems like it is quite a high up there school. So because
they have, and the network that you come out with, and the network they have in terms of industry leaders, is just it's insane. It's remarkable. The people that you listen to, and the people that teach you, and the people that you can email and know with quite a lot of certainty that they will find time for you was incredible.
Yeah. And do you want to do any name dropping? Anyone we may have heard of?
No. I think no one famous, but people who know. I guess people who know what they're talking about.
Yeah. Okay. Because so what was that experience like for you then? Like getting to actually be in university and meeting all these different people. What did it do for you really? Like that experience?
Yeah, I think the learning that I took from it, which I definitely didn't need to go to business school to find out, but no one had told me before, no one had really told me in a way that made sense to me, was networking and talking to people is just the most valuable thing that you can do. Just finding out from people that have done it before what to do and get their advice is just so valuable. And also, if you think you want to do a job or you think you want to do something, talk to 10 people who have done it or are doing it, because it's usually not what all it's cracked up to be, I think. And I have so many friends that have gone into jobs that that they thought was exactly what they wanted to do for years, and it turned out not to be. I mean, that I went in going thinking that I wanted to go and to be sort of, if I was lucky, like a management consultant, or go into like a fintech startup or something like that. That's what I thought I'd probably find quite interesting because it's quite mathematical. I left being like, having spoken to a bunch of people in it, being like, no way. So yeah, I think networking, reaching out to people on LinkedIn is something that I learned there, and just having sort of a 20-30 minute conversation with someone through LinkedIn that you would never be able to meet in a room, or that if you were to see them in a room, they would have 5 people waiting to listen to what they were say or trying to interact with them. But I mean, the internet has these people at your fingertips, and if you make it relatable to them and give them a reason why they want to talk to you, and it can be as simple as, and often as simple for me as, I would love to hear your opinion. See that you did this, and I thought that was incredibly interesting. I'd love to hear your views on this. And then people were really willing to help, I think, and that's kind of what I learned through doing that. I spent a year doing that. But the most valuable lesson, I think, was people willing to help, people want to help, and their help is often invaluable.
Yeah. Wow. That sounds amazing. Because even like that's how I kind of I just messaged you. Literally, I found you on the 30 and the 30 list, and I was like, "Hey, listen, these look like great guys. Let's see if we can get a conversation going." So yeah, that's absolutely amazing. And also at university, you said that's where you met Will, who's your business partner. So like, how did that happen? Were you in like the same lectures, and how did you start the conversation of let's start a business together?
Yeah, so I was just coming off the back end of my final university summer, so like having graduated from Edinburgh, and the week before, we had both been celebrating our graduation, and it was just before the master started, so we sort of arrived a little bit hungover and not feeling too great, and sort of having to meet 150 new people that we'd be spending the next year with, and we were actually sat next to each other. The allocation of seating was put us next to each other, and we kind of just leaned on each other the first day, being like, you're not feeling great, I'm not feeling great, let's just stick together. I mean, we were sat next to each other for the entire year, just talking non-stop about environmentalism, sustainability, starting businesses, and we actually went to Silicon Valley to talk to some of the startups out there, and some of the investors, for not for Ocean Bottle, but for jobs and things like that. And just to get an idea of what the ecosystem is out there. We went on a road trip, and just started talking to each other about, and at that point I think we knew that we were sort of destined to work together and do something together in the future, and I think it was clear that it was going to be Ocean Bottle.
Yeah, no, that literally sounds like something out of a movie, you know. I picture a scene going, dude, let's go to Silicon Valley. And like, yeah, let's do it. And off you go.
I mean, Will and I are both, well, what I see in Will at least is he's just an adventurer, just looking to have a good time. So we were just always just trying to just get out there, just like we didn't do whatever we could just to put ourselves in front of people, put ourselves in positions where we'd be having a good time. And I think this is sort of a natural combination of those traits, and it's just we're always looking to have a good time and trying to make the most of what we've got and what we're doing, and that's what we're doing at Ocean Bottle, I think.
Yeah, that's amazing. So you know, obviously with Ocean Bottle, tell us a bit about it. What is Ocean Bottle?
Yeah, so Ocean Bottle is a reusable bottle that funds collection of 1,000 plastic bottles in weight, for everyone purchased. So we do that with our partners Plastic Bank, and we do it in Haiti, Philippines, Indonesia, Brazil, and now Egypt. And we actually collect the plastic before it enters the ocean. And this is actually a really important differentiation of ours that a lot of companies or organizations aren't doing. And it's sort of, we're trying to retell the story of, it's about ocean bound plastic rather than plastic that's already reached the ocean, because 99% of plastic doesn't float. well, above, it sinks below a meter. So it's, you can't go out there and pick it up. And 22 million kilos of plastic is flowing in it every day.
Wow.
And there's no way that we could ever be collecting 22 million kilos of plastic every day from the middle of the ocean. Just doesn't work like that. The logistics of having to take ships out and bring it back, 22 million kilos a day. Could you imagine? Like, we may as well, the analogy is, if the tap in your kitchen is overflowing, would you go to turn the tap off or take a mop to mop up the floor? Obviously you turn the tap off, and that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to stop the plastic from reaching the ocean in the first place. And we do that by paying collectors locally in these communities to collect this plastic by giving the plastic a value. So it's not just rubbish on the street anymore. It's actually something that you can earn a living on. So we do that, and we also build recycling infrastructure locally. So this plastic is not just put in a landfill; it's taken away and recycled. So we designed the bottle in Norway with our design partners K8, and we think it's the best. So the way it worked was Will and I we came up with 1,000 plastic bottles, being like that was the first thing we did, was need to be 1,000 plastic bottles, because we thought that was such a good story, and we thought that's actually a worthwhile impact. Like that's not just token, that's actually material, that's actually a really big thing that you can do. And then we worked out how much that would cost, and we worked backwards from there. So we realized how expensive, the price that we needed to charge for the bottle. And then when we realized that it has to be £40, we were like, this needs to last a lifetime, and it needs to be the best bottle in the market. Then we went to Norway and designed it. And we have an NFC chip in the bottom, which is the same technology as a gym membership card, a hotel card, like a bank card, or just anything like proximity scanner. So if you have like a card that goes near a scanner, same sort of technology, and incredibly versatile, and allows us to interact with brands, corporates, cruise liners, gyms, you name it, cafes, to incentivize certain behaviors to then collect more ocean plastic. So an example of that would be if you go into a partner's cafe and you ask for a nice coffee to be put in your ocean bottle, they could collect up to 100 plastic bottles in weight. Wow. And the reason why they would do that is because it'd be, instead of you bringing a reusable container to put a coffee in that they already offer discounts for, it'd be instead of that, and maybe they want to get away from that discount culture and would rather promote sustainability. And
Wow, okay. Oh wow. That sounds absolutely amazing. So how did the idea actually come about? So is the environment, is this something that you've always kind of had a bit of a heart for, or is it something that, as you and your partner Will were talking, is it something that came out of that, or did you just both?
I think a mixture of all those things. So Will came to uni with an idea to sort of sell products to fund collection of plastic, and that's really, and that was one of the sort of dozens of ideas that we were sort of running around in our head. And then he sort of I think just had like a eureka moment of, when we were just talking about things, I think he saw someone drinking out of a reusable bottle and was like, why is that the only thing that bottle does, is do like a 1-for-1, I'm not using a plastic bottle anymore, like that's not enough. And from there we really developed the idea of what that really meant to us, i.e. like what we needed to charge for it, how we needed to design it. Came up with the idea of the idea was basically, of the chip, was essentially just this technology is so, I was just thinking, it's so versatile. There's so many things we could do with it. It's not an expensive technology. And we don't want this bottle to go on the shelf. So, and that was like the central pillar of what we were trying to do, is to not make another bottle that just ends up on the shelf. We wanted people using this bottle every day. We wanted them to have a reason to use it every day. So yeah, that was just sort of in the first month or so, all of those ideas were formulated. And we've been very, very fortunate in that we haven't had to move away from that. There's been no major pivot, and which we count our lucky stars. I think we've been incredibly fortunate on that.
Yeah. Okay. And it's something that a lot of people with entrepreneurial people struggle with. They have loads of different ideas, and it's always a bit of a struggle to pick which one idea to stick to or one idea to go with. And so would you say you guys found it quite easy, or was it just like when this idea came about, you were like, okay, this is the way, it has to be this one?
Yeah. I think I remember the conversation of it. It was like we were searching the internet, being like, someone has done this. There's no way that someone hasn't done this. And then it became very, like, we were looking, and no one had done anything like it. And I think it was just so, yeah, I think it was pretty obvious. It was definitely like a eureka moment. And which, again, super fortunate, because we know a lot of entrepreneurs that have been still chucking around ideas and doing multiple ideas at once and trying to make one of them work. But yeah, just super, super fortunate. And we both really cared about this new economy, like capitalism for good, because if we're working in the system of capitalism, we need to do our best with what we can do. And that's really, making an impact company was really sort of close to our hearts of what we wanted to achieve, and really pushing the boundaries of what an impact company means. Because sort of Patagonia came up with this idea of 1% for the planet, 1% of sales revenue to a charity or a good cause. And we're now operating just under 17% of our revenue towards towards plastic collection, which as a level of your revenue going towards something like that is, again, unheard of. And but not in a, I don't say that in like a sort of I don't know, we're unique in that. It's just that we were fortunate enough to have been starting a company in this era of people understanding that the planet means something and we need to protect it. And we built our business model with that understanding it was the very first thing we chose. And again, I cannot stress enough how much that has guided us, and was 100% the best decision we ever made, was starting with the impact level and then working backwards. Because if we'd done it after, we would have been like, not sure we can afford to do that much. Not sure it's a sustainable business. But we made sure that we worked out all the expenses, other expenses, at that moment in time, to make sure that it was sustainable. And even one of our mentors, pretty much every single person we spoke to was like, guys, why are you doing 1,000 plastic bottles? No one's doing 100. No one's doing 10. Why didn't you just do 100? And make this a more profitable business model? And we were like, you obviously don't get it. I think it was that conversation with Will about that advice maybe lasted 5 seconds. We knew that this was an impact company, and we were trying to make as much impact as possible. And I think it's really resonated with people. And I think that it means that we don't need to be reliant on Facebook marketing and Instagram marketing and people. We don't have a marketing agency. We don't have we don't serve people thousands and thousands of ads to get them to buy the bottle. It's mostly word of mouth or PR, like earned media. We're really trying to build the brand on that, because we have a responsibility for the money that people pay for the bottle to make sure it goes as far as it possibly can towards the mission that they're buying into. And we've seen that has been that trust that we've hopefully been able to build with these people who are buying the bottles. They trust us enough, and we try to be as transparent as possible, and we're still, that's like our main thing is transparency. But they trust in the mission, they get behind the mission, and they pay it back, even if it's unconscious, by mentioning it to someone or posting it on their Instagram. And that means so much more to people. If someone mentioned to you and was like, "Oh, I've got this ocean bottle, it's the best, I'm so happy with it, it collects 1,000 plastic bottles from going into the ocean," that's more likely to be a conversion than you seeing an ad on Sky News or Sky Sports or on Facebook or whatever. And so that's the sort of marketing technique that we've invested in, and really being transparent and really showing commitment to the mission has paid back dividends in that, and is justified, even in like a business sense, has justified the impact expense or the impact that we're making.
Wow. Yeah, no, that's absolutely amazing. Because obviously being in marketing myself, it's that kind of thing where it's funny when every time I look at different methods that people are using to market, but you guys, the way you guys market is so pure. It's so, this is the impact that we're making. Because I mean, like, one of the things I was going to ask you, because it is about things like what problem do you solve and stuff like that. In marketing, you always ask those kind of questions when you're trying to actually get down to it. But you guys solve a very clear problem, which is this obviously plastic bottles getting into the ocean, and people can actually clearly see how obviously what you do makes an impact. So like in the initial stages though, when this was just an idea, because obviously you told me about how a few people were like, okay, why are you doing 1,000, why don't you do less, and that kind of thing. How easy was it initially to get people to get on board with your idea?
Again, I think the sort of the hallmark of an idea that could potentially work is people getting on board early. That's not to say we've had a lot of no's, as anyone has, and it's like the amount of yeses I can count on a few, like, or maybe both my hands, that of people who really get behind it and like devote their time and support you. And there's probably not enough hands in London to tell you how many times we've been told no. But when people, for instance, the first person that made our website, the first group that made our website, gave us 365-day payment terms. Like, wow. we didn't pay a penny to them. Our designers, the guys who designed the bottle, again, we didn't pay them a penny until we sold a bottle. They were our biggest investors. The people who put money in, our actual first investors, it took us a week. We showed them a business plan. I think we showed them maybe some sketches of a bottle, so CAD sketches of a bottle, and they invested in us. And what else? Sort of being able to sell something, being passionate about something and being able to sell it to someone honestly, and really know what angle you're taking, the clarity. And so the clarity of 1,000 plastic bottles really resonated with people. And I think they really felt that we were onto something. And it's really, especially at the initial stage of the company, getting people on board with what you're doing, people who can help you, people who can give you that leg up, is what makes all the difference. And again, most people said no, but the few people that did say yes turned out to be pivotal. I mean, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for K8 who designed the bottle. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Catapult Ocean who invested in us. And then we managed to convince 5,400 people to buy a bottle on our Indiegogo, which is the crowdfund that we did. They bought a bottle in January through April of 2019, and the bottles got delivered in October. But they paid almost full price. They got, I think, 15% off for that delay, and it was all on. We had a 3D printed bottle on a video. We had some renders of a bottle, some CAD renders or I don't know what the program was, but on the site, and some terrible content. Well, not terrible content, just it wasn't. There was no brand. There was no. It was just we collected 1,000 plastic bottles, and this is what the bottle will look like. Will you pay us? I think it was $44 plus shipping for the bottle, and 5,400 people again. And we didn't do much. We did a little bit of Facebook marketing just to test it, but it was mostly word of mouth and people, getting behind it, and us pestering pretty much everyone that we had ever met to share it. We didn't ask people to buy a bottle, but we asked them to share the mission, and
Wow.
So those initial sort of people who did get behind us, whether it was our partners or the people who bought the bottles, is the whole reason why we're here.
Wow, that's absolutely amazing, because it just shows you, like, when you actually have something that's a mission that's actually on other people's hearts as well, you know, you can more easily connect with people and they're able to see what you're trying to do. But yeah, that's absolutely amazing, because obviously you guys are like, you know, you guys went Silicon Valley, you guys have done things that I would actually say a lot of people are not willing to do. What drives you to do all of this stuff? What would you say? Why do you do it?
I think it's like what I said before. I think it's just the adventure of it. I think it's just like it's hard. I think it's just once you get wrapped up in it. And I think like that Silicon Valley trip was something that I definitely would not have done. But you just get wrapped up in it, and we're just like, and I mean, you just becomes an adventure. Once you find something that drives you and you want to do, you're not going to stop. For anything, I don't know, just nothing makes sense until it's complete, and I don't know when it is complete, and I don't think it will ever be complete. But it's just a journey, and just having fun, and everything's just changing all the time, and you don't really stop and think about it too much. I don't know what I think the mission 100% is the primary driving factor, but it's the adventure that comes along with it, I think. And the people you meet, and sat at a job where you're at a desk and you know all the people in the cubicles around you, and you know the people you're on the phone to, and I mean, everyone in our company is meeting people all the time, and it's like different people because things are always changing, and it's that's the excitement of a startup in general. I don't think you need to start the startup. I think just being willing to do anything and get your hands dirty with any job is the best feeling I think you can get at work. And I realized that I've only had one other job, so one other like sort of desk job. So my advice on that is probably not that great, but I'm loving it, and I think everyone I speak to loves it as well.
Yeah. Would you go back to a job if I came and offered you £1 million a year? Would you go back would you get a job?
£1 million a year.
Normal job.
£1 million a year.
£1 million a year. Give it to you now.
No, I probably wouldn't. I mean, if that was a real situation, that's more money than you can really even think of. But I think I would probably say no. It's so early on in my career. It's not about money. So I mean, I'm just taking care of myself at the moment, which is a very fortunate position as an entrepreneur. But yeah, probably not, I think.
Oh, cool. I'll keep my million then. So, obviously, you and Will are partners, business partners. To make it more clear, what's it like? Because obviously, this, and I feel like it's another thing that people sometimes juggle with, whether they should just go on their own, whether they should go in with a partner. How have you found having a business partner?
Yeah, I actually listened to a podcast with someone we know who started a company, and their co-founder relationship didn't work out well at all. And they call it co-founder divorce, because it is, like you say, partner, business partner. I mean, the lines are blurred. Like, you spend so much time with this person. You're on the phone to them non-stop, especially at the beginning. I lived with Will's parents for 3-4 months in Norway when we were starting it. Like, so yeah, it's almost like telepathy going on. Like, you just know you know everything about each other, and just it's an incredibly intense relationship, and it cannot work out. I think for us, there's difficulties. I mean, but every time there have been difficulties, no matter how big, and there have been some difficult. There's always difficult things to talk about, but as soon as that conversation's over, you forget about it.
Yeah.
And once you come to a conclusion on it, it's just like, well, that's the way it is now, like now, and we're both happy with it. And and I couldn't be happy with Will as a partner. It's just been an incredible experience to share with him. And for that very reason, I would say I wouldn't, my at least first business, I would never do alone. I think my preference would be to do it with Will again. If there was another idea, it's about finding the right person, because they always say, right, what an idea is worth 1%, and then the sort of the 99% is the value that is created by the people who come next. And it's sort of making sure that the founding team get on, and there's chemistry, and they know, and they complement each other, is so important, because the idea is that while you need to get the business off the ground, you also need to be the people who are there when there's 20 people there in the company, and having that person that can complement you and but also support you, because it's just so difficult. There's a lot of stuff that sucks, and getting told no all the time. Like, the time I felt most guilty in my life was talking to Will on the phone in the corridor of the company I was working at. Him basically being like, "Where are you?" sort of thing, and me being like just so conflicted about it. And yeah, so that's, I think, if I had never quit and he'd gone it alone for the entirety of it, I think it would be, or vice versa. I mean, it would have been a completely different. I know that I probably wouldn't be able to without Will, at least in the same way. And I hope he says the same about me.
Hey, we hope so. Probably, hopefully, one day we speak to him and really. But it does sound like you guys do have quite a really good relationship, and you could literally see, even from your tone of voice and how you say it, how the fact that what the relationship means, not even just from a business perspective, even just from a support perspective, as well. But I was gonna ask you as well, like, what was it like leaving your job to actually go into the business full time? What was that transition like in terms of whether it's the finances and stuff like that?
I was about to say seamless, and then he said finances. I had been lucky. Well, the job, I was saving money, and I was my dad lived in London. My job was in London. Like, that is the number one. That is like people who have to move to London, or people who choose to move to London and have to rent on their first paycheck. I have enormous amounts of respect for, because it would have been so much tough, and I was actually able to save some money into the transition. Nothing much, and that meant why when we got the investment and moved to Norway, we didn't take a salary, and we lived with Will, and then Will's parents were our sort of financial support, I guess, in that way, and that I was living there, and they were feeding me dinner most nights. So,
Wow.
yeah, and then only later, I think we only started paying ourselves a few months after that.
Okay.
But otherwise, pretty seamless. I mean, I've been working nights and evenings, and nights and weekends, and knew the business back to front, obviously, and was just so motivated to make something of it, that I loved every single moment of those, well, first year and a half, I guess, but of being full time, which is up to now. But I mean, those, I will always treasure those sort of first 3-4 months in Norway.
Because generally, obviously, it might be a bit of a personal question, but generally, what you like? I know finances is a huge issue, because a lot of people, the reason why they won't leave a job to start a business is because of finances. Literally, if everyone was financially secure, they'll probably do it in a heartbeat. Because what advice would you give to someone who was saying, I don't know, I can't quite. What advice would you give that person?
Because I fall slap bang into that sort of criteria right there. I mean, I am a financial Scrooge. I run the finances at Ocean Bottle, and things have to sort of come through me, financial decisions. And if I don't see that it's 100% necessary, I can be a little bit of a killjoy on it. And I just need to know backwards and forwards why we're spending that money. And same in my personal life. I'm just a big saver. I'm just very cautious with my money. And but this, I think the decision to do the job, I would be lying if I said the decision to do the job wasn't financially led, as well as the other reasons that I've said, because I knew that there was quite a long time before Ocean Bottle would be revenue making. But I think it just got to the point where I was like beyond caring, because I knew how much fun I would have. I knew that it would work to some extent, even though you say you obviously don't know, but you have to have that sort of blind belief. And if you don't have it, maybe it's not right, or maybe you're trying to maybe you're trying to sort of convince yourself otherwise. I think you need to try and find it. I think you need to try and be like, this is going to work no matter what. But then again, I completely understand it's such a difficult decision. Again, going back to, I was fortunate enough to have, my dad would have welcomed me back if it didn't work, which is not true of everyone. And I don't think he'd accept me back now, for instance. Especially having made this decision and gone against, I guess, his wishes. But I think I was privileged in that regard to have that sort of fallback. But I think take the plunge if you can, and if you have that blind faith, then definitely do it.
Yeah, no, that sounds amazing, because I think you're more, because obviously my business partner Arnold, you're more an Arnold than you are me. I'm terrible. I'm not. I've got a lot better, to be fair, when it comes to finances. But that's one thing that I appreciate about having a business partner, in the sense that he's great with money. Arnold's like every time we need to spend anything, every time we need to spend £1, he's like, "Where's that pound going again?" I'm just like, "It's just £1, man." He's like, "Nope, well, what's it for?"
Yeah.
And what are gonna do?
It adds up. I can tell
Yeah,
you, it adds up.
yeah, exactly. Okay, and so one thing that I was going to ask you as well. Obviously, I always ask people this question, and I was asking towards the end of, what does success mean to you?
I think we kind of touched on this before we went live, and
Yeah.
I have no idea. I'm like, well, I think in terms of such a difficult question, because it's kind of like I've always dreamt about, for instance, being able to go to a restaurant and not look at the prices. I think that's when I'll know when it doesn't matter so much to me. I think that's going to be sort of, I think that's the limit of financial success. I'm not too interested in too much more than that. But I think the thing that, if I was to say, the thing I feel is most successful about my situation now is we have a team and we all really get on and we all feel like we all have this unified purpose that we care about. And it's like, I can tell someone as many times as I want to get off their laptop and be like, we're done for the day. And they'll be like, no, like, someone needs this today, or I just really want to get this done because, and they're just like, I think we all know that at the end of the day, what we're doing there is a material output that can make a difference. And we went to Bali as the entire team in January. It was the most incredible experience to spend a month with your sort of, I guess, your colleagues, right? And by the beach and sort of working out there and seeing the plastic collection sites and what we're actually doing firsthand, rather than sort of just being like it being this thing that we talk about. And I think that's really motivated me, and I think just the rest of the team now know exactly what we're doing, and we've met the people that are doing, those like incredible people who are on the front line of this ocean plastic crisis, collecting the plastic, because ocean plastic seems so foreign to people here. It's like, what, you put your plastic in the recycling bin and you expect it to go get recycled, whereas actually no, the vast majority of it goes to landfill and is just tucked away underground. Whereas a lot of places around the world don't have the luxury of having waste management systems, because it's an expensive thing it's a luxury for a lot of countries, and it's so expensive. And this plastic just gets piled up. Maybe it does get to a landfill, but it's an open air, oceanside landfill that when the monsoon season comes in, it washes it away. And and by giving this waste, this pollution, a value, we're paying for people's school fees, health insurance, allowing them access to microfinance. It's the first store of wealth a lot of these people have ever had. And it's really awesome, because it's not just about the plastic. We talk about the plastic a lot, but when you have that first engagement with our brand, when you delve deeper, it's actually a social mission just as much as it's an environmental mission. And it's just such a cool thing to be a part of. I'm thankful every day that get to be involved.
Yeah, actually, do you know what? I must say, I've asked a lot of people that question of what does success mean to them, and I must say your answer is actually, I feel like it's the most one of the most genuine answers I've heard, because But normally when I ask people that question, they always say a very similar thing. They always say, oh, it's about other people. But it's almost like the way you said it was just so genuine from the way you started it, even going into what you guys actually do. Like through and through, you can actually see what it means to you. You demonstrate it in your business rather than just saying it, you know? So that's absolutely amazing.
Cheers, thanks. I kind of forgot about what I was talking about as well halfway through there.
No, it's and that's, to be honest, that's what I love when people are able to go and be passionate about what they do and, you know, able to just flow into it. So yeah, no, that's absolutely amazing. I was going to ask you, so what are some, obviously we've talked about quite a few things. Can you just reel off to me like maybe some challenges that you faced starting your business?
Challenges. A million. There's they're the ones when you come out the back of them, you're just like, thank God that's over. And now it's just so funny because there's so many problems that we've had in the past that happen now pretty much daily that we thought were sort of the ground beneath us was crumbling and we were going to get sucked into the earth and everything was going to get sort of turned upside down. The biggest challenge at the time was we pre-sold all those bottles on Indiegogo on the crowdfund, and we sold some bottles outside the crowdfund as well to some companies, and we needed to ship 10,000 bottles in a few days, and we only had a few days before the people in the warehouse went on holiday, and we'd promised the bottles in May, and they were getting delivered in September, October.
Wow.
So we were like all hands on deck. We had to sort of go to the warehouse and help ship them out and stuff like that. And it was, that was probably the most stressed I've ever been in my life. That, just shipping, we never shipped out a single thing in our lives.
Yeah.
Never, like, apart from a letter or a present.
Wow.
And suddenly we're sending out, it was in a warehouse in Kent. It was like a barn basically. We were just sending all these things out. It was bizarre. And then two stories that I guess was semi-secret back then, but I think now it's been long enough that we can talk about it.
Yeah, that's good.
We sent bottles. One of our first clients was Ed Sheeran's European tour, and this was a big moment in our lives. It still obviously was, because that's still the most high-profile person that bought our bottles. Or it was bought for him as a gift, and we had to get them to his the arena that he was playing at in Germany. We sent them with this discount, the sort of a cheap courier, and they didn't even try. They said they attempted 3 times to deliver it. And the people there were like, no, they haven't. We've been stood outside this entire time. Hundreds of DHL vans have been coming in. And yeah, so then it basically, the courier basically like, we can't deliver it anymore. We've tried too many times. The place doesn't exist. We're going to send it back. We had to intercept it in Belgium and get it sent back. Will, me, and Will's mum, who speaks German, were on the phone for like 3 days straight to all the people in this delivery service, this international delivery service. Wow. We were just trying to get as senior as possible to basically ask them to send it back. We told them what it was about, what it was for, and everyone told us it was impossible. And then one person was like, "I've done it." Wow. And we got sent back, and then they miraculously managed to find it the next day. Yeah. And we also sent the wrong bottles to one of the first orders we had as well was a wedding, and we sent them co-branded bottles that were made in China, that were made in our factory in China. They were co-branded, laser engraved with like JLB Credit, which I believe is like an insurance company, and sent to their wedding, and people came up. It was in their goodie bags or whatever when they left. And someone called them up and was like, "I didn't know your wedding was sponsored by JLB Credit." which they were furious, and I mean, thankfully they forgave us, because that would have been a really big issue if we had to replace that many bottles. And then we ended up having to send like 24 more. It was more like 100, I think, that we sent, and we had to replace the old bottles for the company that had been engraved. Yeah, that was a bit of a nightmare.
Wow, that's crazy. That's crazy, man. It just shows you the stresses of starting a business and all of this.
Not knowing what we're doing. Like, we had no idea what we were doing, and we were learning on the job. Everything that was the first time we'd done it, and we learned that we learned every lesson there was to learn in those situations. We learned it pretty damn quick, I can tell you.
Okay, and also just sorry, I'm aware of time. I don't want to take up all your time, but just one of the other questions: what are some highlights that you've had with entrepreneurship, just with your business as well? What are some of the best moments, so to say?
Best moments. Going out to Bali, 100%. I mean, yeah. I mean, I think there was a smile on my face for pretty much the entire time out there. And I think just general team moments. I mean, 3 of us went to these. We were sort of shocked and very fortunate to have won the London Business Award Sustainability category, which I'm not sure how big of a deal that was, but it was sort of, there was just me, Iona, and Emilian there, 3 people on the team, and we did not expect to win at all. We were just there for sort of the free drinks. And when they read out our name, we were all looked at each other in complete shock and just started jumping up and down, screaming. Everyone else there was in suits, and every other winner had sort of been like, okay, yes, yeah, walk up and take it. And we were like, and it was just such a funny moment, because it was like, it was just so absurd, and it was like, and it's just so fun. There's been a lot of moments that have been awesome, and I know I've forgotten a lot of them, but it's just small things like that, I think.
I can even remind you of some of them. I had to actually write down, because you guys have got that many awards. So Forbes 30 under 30, London Business Awards, Green Product Award, Red Dot Design Award. You guys you're actually very modest for what you guys have actually achieved in your.
I think if you knew how many awards you'd applied for or sort of been put up for, that's maybe wouldn't be complimentary. But I mean, the ones we did get was the ones we were very fortunate in, that the ones we wanted, the ones that we got, which doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But we're sort of very fortunate to have been recognised, I think, because it's they don't mean anything, but it's it's just nice for the team to know that what we're doing is someone else thinks is the right thing to be doing, if that makes sense.
Because one of the ones that obviously, like I said to you earlier before we started recording, about 30 under 30 being something that I've heard quite a lot of millennials actually talk about, and some of my friends talk about, oh, I would love to be on 30 under 30. How does, because obviously I know you're more like, well, it doesn't mean as much as people think it is, but how does one actually get on the 30 under 30 list?
I think there's plenty of, I think if you're Greta Thunberg, it's like obvious, like you've just done incredible stuff. I think there's a lot of people who are sort of massive overachievers that are shoo-ins for things like that. But I think it's just finding, for us, for instance, I think it was just being part of the zeitgeist. It's like plastic and environmentalism is quite rightly a massive topic right now, and it's sort of, and people kept thinking that the momentum would slow down, but it's only increasing. And and to be a part of that narrative has served us very, very well. And I mean, if we'd been selling just a reusable bottle that was doing nothing else, there's no way that we'd be anywhere near that. I think it's just, again, it comes back to transparency, belief in the mission, in your own and desire to get it across. And I think that really resonates with your audience. Well, it comes through your brand, it comes through the people that you hire, it comes through the people you speak to, and who then speak to other people about it. And just really knowing that what you're doing is right, and is adding sort of some value to the world, and a real belief in that when you speak to people, it comes across, and people will then repay that in kind, and it really multiplies. The multiplier effect of that is greater than anything else that I've encountered.
It's amazing. Look, it's been absolutely amazing speaking to you. I've got thousands more questions I could keep asking you, but I know you're a very busy man. I really, really, really do appreciate you coming on and, you know, sharing all the insights that you have with us. We hope we can have you on again sometime soon, because we definitely have loads more we want to ask you. So thank you very much for coming on.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's been awesome.